Hello, I'm just going to change the settings, so I'm going to reduce the time on the slow mode and see how that works. If I then start getting too many comments I can't keep up with, I will put the slow mode back on for slower. But hopefully by having it on 15 seconds at a time, it means we won't get the bits where there's sort of an awkward pause. So I'll give everybody a bit of time to get in, because I'm doing this at 7:15 in the UK time. Hopefully you'll get a few more people in, but because the stats are always slow to update, apparently I've got 0 people watching at the moment, even though I can see a load of comments. Right, that's 12 people watching apparently. So not loads is up with me today, but I thought I'd do a stream. Now I might be able to go over an hour on this one. We'll see. It depends how much my voice starts going towards the end. Oh, thank you for reminding me. I'm going to put the ligma thing in the banned words on my channel, so anybody trying to do the joke just immediately gets held for review. I've said before, I prefer the masks with 2 separate eyepieces, especially if they're the flat frontal ones, which let you use a scope. In theory, a panoramic lens is fine, but it depends how well it's done on the mask, and in general I prefer 2 eyepieces. Google it, Raging Bull. So I'm not going to give anyone attention trying to do it. I've already blocked 2 people, one for like trying to get a shout out or whatever, another for trying to do the ligma joke. The mask that melts is the Yugoslavian MC1, or just the M1, because there's 2 variants of it, it's the same mask. But basically it's a stupid joke, and I think we were on about this before in a stream where nobody even tried to do it on my channel when it was a brand new joke, so then it obviously had come out as some sort of hoax thing, or like a joke, and that was the point when people obviously had like, oh, there's this really crap joke. They were then all the ones who started to try and do it. So yeah, I've had a sort of 0 tolerance policy on it, because it's kind of like not even a fresh joke, it's really stale. Landon, I've already banned somebody for asking for shout outs. As I said, don't ask for shout outs. Oh, Scott GSR doesn't take NATO filters either unless you prize the bits off of it. No, I'm not in the army. If you read my FAQ in the description, it would say that. It depends. If there's a particular air pistol you want, then yes, but for the most part, no in the UK, because they're limited to 6 foot-pounds of energy, where actual air rifles are limited to 12 foot-pounds, which means, you know, they're going to be a bit underpowered. For anything other than target shooting at close range, I wouldn't really recommend an air pistol for. Only the GP7V has a drinking tube. The regular GP7 doesn't, but the GP7V and the PMK1 both have a very bad drinking tube anyway that's prone to leaking. Do you mean one for just target shooting? Get any of the sort of Man Kung or the other name of them, Polang crossbows that are like 120 pounds, 150 pounds raw weight. I've done videos on the M65, James, but as I said, it's I kind of like the design of it, but the M65 doesn't fit a lot of face shapes, so you're better getting the Israeli M15 or one of the other better variants of it. It's mostly just the round lenses. The GP7V and a PMK1 are identical except for the lens shape. Regular GP7 doesn't have a drinking tube either. Do you mean the Forshida F2? I do. The ligma thing, like I said, I'm not going to keep bringing it up, but as I said, I've put it in the block list now, so if people do it, it will automatically hide their comments. How long was the hose? Or do you just mean a regular hose? The Chinese do, but I very rarely see them on eBay. For the most part, no, because it's an outdated filter design. I think Maskpol in Poland still does an industrial filter that's in like the old EO14 style canister, but sadly I've not seen any of those for sale because they'd be totally safe. When you say novelty crossbow pistol, do you mean like the toy ones? I've got one of those toy ones, but it's not any good for like target shooting unless you're shooting like a sticky board 5 yards away or something. I think it was £60, but I bought it. It was advertised as new. I said this on the video of it. When it came, the date on it was, you know, not new. So it was in the 90s. So I complained to the seller, and they said I could send it back for a full refund or keep it and have a partial refund. So I kept it for a partial refund. No, I don't have any Danish helmets. I did a video recently on my worst gas mask floppy fish. So watch that. I did a video on that as well. You need to watch the videos I do rather than keep asking FAQ things when I've done it. All you have to do is go on my channel, search a topic, and then you'll find the videos on it. So, you're on about actual pistol crossbows. Well, they've killed people before, so they would work for self-defense. I mean, a bigger crossbow would be better, but a pistol crossbow isn't a toy. So why is your M40 in a glass case at a flea market? I have no way of working out what every 80 mask, you know, my 80 odd masks, what I paid for each of them, then adding them together, so no idea. You can get those hard caps now, which are quite cool, which are like baseball caps, but have like a impact resistant liner in them, which are quite cool. Well, go and buy it then. Seems a very simple solution. There's a mask I want to buy at the flea market. Go and buy it then. You can reload a pistol crossbow in literally seconds. I haven't actually seen Desert Marpat, or I may have done, I've just not thought about it, but I know obviously the regular Marpat. So is Desert Marpat just that in like yellow and brown? Because if so, that'd be fairly good. Regular activated charcoal stops organic vapours, and if in big enough quantities stops other kinds of vapours. The larger Soviet filters contain more charcoal, so therefore are more effective. Now, if you're in the US, you probably shouldn't be paying more than £50 for an M40. Right, I guess you're making a joke there, Sebastian, so that's your last warning. I'll remove your comment. So don't do that again. Now, read the description. I've said loads of times, I've been airsofting. The issue is there's no sites near me which I can easily get to and everything else. It's right there in the description that everybody's meant to read. Like Weapon Collector said, I should probably have a big image on the thing that says read the FAQ in the description. Desert Night Camo still probably works against primitive infrared like I've got. Well, I don't have an M95, so M61. There's not many finished masks. Yeah, because UK laws are stupid. Conquest. It's basically where they do knee-jerk laws to appease people. That's why they're never consistent. What do you mean, what are fireable French masks? Do you mean like what are French masks that they've used? They've used the M51, and then they went to the thing that's like the Polish MP5, because the Polish MP5 is a licensed version of it, but I can never remember the French one's name. No, I don't have any mop suits, because remember, I can't buy US stuff unless it somehow turns up in the UK, because it's illegal to be exported from the US. I obviously don't like England for the reason that you can be arrested for saying the wrong things and you have no, no individual rights at all, and the economy is totally fucked. eBay, as I've said, lots of support. Yeah, I'm alright, Deathbringer. I like the English box respirators from World War I, and also the PH gas hoods because they look cool. All the modern French masks have used 40mm filters at least as far back as the M51. I mean, they may have been even further, but basically most French masks were 40mm. I've never used any of the 3M full face ones, so I can only say the 3M half face ones. I like the 7500. I've done videos on recommendation of masks, so just watch that and pick one from that video. Oh, it's just a raincoat. It's a, can't remember the brand of it, might be Port West, I think it's Port West. But it's like any type of raincoat would do. Unless you mean the Polish L1 suits top half. I don't quite understand your comment, Silverhood Gaming. Yeah, they had the old sort of oilskin, super heavy duty rubber suits in World War II. I'm definitely not into that, Deathbringer. I have nothing against people like that, but I'm not into it. I'll have a look at Hornet crossbow, but oh yeah, but that's it with the original 120-pound draw weight. Yeah, the reason it changes names is because they're made by either Mankung in Taiwan or Po Lang in Taiwan, like two companies, and then different companies stick their names on them. So that's why, you know, the names and everything change on the crossbows. Oh, the FAQ is right in this video description here. As in, you got hit by the water from it, you physically got hit by the hose. Yeah, there's, like the US optical masks, there's the German optical mask from World War II, there's the Soviet SHMS, there's quite a few optical masks. No, I haven't seen one though, Silverhood Gaming. There's loads of outdated filter formats that were used around World War II, but they're totally gone now. I think there was like random ones like, I'm not gonna get them right off the top of my head, but you know, things like 42mm and stuff like that. I've already said I'm right centrist, which means classical sort of liberal, not modern liberal. Basic power tools, that's about it. Why Cowmangler saying you can't comment when you obviously are commenting? Avon CT12, Stephanie, it's in the description. I quit smoking, so I'm not going to do smoking videos because I quit smoking. Do you mean can a shotgun shoot for a riot shield? I think birdshot wouldn't, buckshot would, but might not necessarily on the first shot. You might have to shoot it a couple of times to break it. There's videos where it's tested on the internet, so just watch those. Well, if there was a better way to replace cheek filters, as in they just snapped in and out, I wouldn't hate them as much, but if they were, you know, external cheek filters, then it wouldn't really be a cheek filter mask anymore, would it? Yeah, I left a thumbs up on your video, Richard. I did see that earlier, but for some reason the audio was distorted at my end, so I couldn't really hear you speaking. So I don't know if that was my end or a problem with the video, but I did thumb it up. I saw the panel on the blue UN thing. S10 about £30. L1A1 SLR. Wow, it depends, is it a funny joke or not? I'll go ahead then. Don't say I need to say something, just say the comment. I'd say I kind of like a K-bar, but I'd say there's better things now that are like more modern versions of a full tang and everything else. CT12 generally works pretty well with helmets. The Israeli M15 would be great if the straps were a bit thinner. Maybe at some point. I hadn't planned on it, sneaky breaky. Any tour recently? The US M45 is pretty rare, isn't it? So it's probably good for that reason. I haven't seen your video, mate, so I can't say if I like it or not. I've used recurve bows, flat bows. I've got a big recurve that's almost the size of a longbow, but not quite, but it's, you know, like made out of carbon fibre and everything. I've used compound bows and compound crossbows as well as recurve crossbows. So I'm not a fan of compound bows simply for the reason there's a lot more that can go wrong with them. But for the most part, you know, I don't really care on the design of the bow as long as it performs well. If you're saying do I prefer crossbows or actual bows, crossbows, because I'm much better with them, because I'm not trained to shoot a bow properly. Right, a random YouTuber, I'll remove your comment and give you a warning for that. Do not talk about illegal stuff like that, please. You probably want a knife with a wire cutting attachment for it, so can't really suggest anything. Do you mean the Chinese copy of the S10 called the FMJ08? That's still kind of cool because they're worth a bit. With the Gorka suit, I don't have an official Gorka suit. I have like the Ukrainian equivalent, and I like that, but I can't test it yet because it's summer, not winter. Do you mean the Swedish fault gas mask? It's very, very basic. It's like the British World War II mask. Yeah, Polish FP5 filters are good, as I've said many times. Apparently it increases the bow span and the power, so I guess you get more velocity out of it. It would be illegal in the UK, so I'll give you a timeout. Don't start this up again when you get back. Yeah, you can get wire cutters, but when you say M14 variants, you mean the rifle? I've already got a handmade sword. I had a falchion made. Yeah, the classic English longbow is, like, you know, one of the best bows throughout history. English and Welsh longbowmen pretty much dominated the field of archery until, you know, like the early muskets came along. $85 seems a lot for 2 basic Warsaw Pact masks, but up to you. Hello. Yeah, Kalashnikov bayonets have the wire cutter on them. A couple of other bayonets do as well. Yep, you're trying to do a ban evasion, so there you go. Got what you deserved. I've not got any German World War II canteens, so can't comment on them really. No, I've never played baseball. We used to play rounders at school, which is quite similar. Yeah, the Turk bow was a recurve bow though, wasn't it? Yeah, I'm alright, thanks. I did GCSE history and I did A-level history, well AS, which is the first year, because as I've said before, I took the exams for sixth form for the first year and then quit because I hated it. So I just suffered through the first year to do the exams and then went and got a job. Oh yeah, if you filled a filter up, as I've said before, like I did on that video recently with new charcoal, they will work. The BEM 4GP is okay. Like I said, it's a fairly decent mask, I think, but they had a lot of quality control problems with them. And then they've been to Tankfest. Yeah, if you're walking around a public place with scissors or pliers, I don't know about pliers, but with scissors, yeah, they could definitely arrest you as having a knife on you, unfortunately. As I was saying to people, don't keep saying stuff about, like, not you, but the guy I had to put on a timeout, don't keep saying stuff that's blatantly illegal in Britain because of how bad our laws are getting, and then complain because you live in a country where you've actually got some sort of freedoms. Like, oh, why are you censoring me? Because I don't want to go to jail. I've used a couple of combat knives for cutting fruit, just kind of for tests. It works fine, obviously. Okay, Richard, I imagine they're fairly powerful though, aren't they? Well, I've still got my Camo Hornet, so there's nothing wrong with it. It's going to be the same with most air rifles. Eventually a spring or something goes and you have to replace it. Well, you wouldn't say you're carrying anything for self-defense. If you're carrying a flashlight, it's to see in the dark. If you're carrying a tactical pen, it's to write with, you know, it's all that sort of stuff. You basically, you know, you're always carrying something because it's for its actual use. Like if you're carrying a metal drinking canteen, it's to drink from, not to hit somebody with. I have no idea, I'm afraid. I cleaned my GM38, but it started cracking now, so I didn't do a brilliant job with it because it's so old there wasn't much I could do. I'm in neither of those places. A combat knife would still do it. Because after all, knives are knives, even if the angle of the blade's a bit different. Not really, because there's no point me doing a shelter building video because I can't build one in the garden. There's no point doing one in the house. If you look at the protect and survive stuff, there's actually quite good stuff on there about, you know, like how you can do stuff with building like shelters, like lean-tos and stuff. Right, Peach? Right, I need to try and catch up with the comments. Well, Kevlar vest, you are wearing it for basically self-protection, because you can't hit anybody with a Kevlar vest or anything like that. It is literally there to stop you being stabbed, so you're worried about the crime rates or whatever. So a Kevlar vest, because it's not an offensive thing, it's a purely defensive form of self-defense. Right, I'm just going to put the comments onto a slower speed, because I'm getting so many coming in now that I can't keep up. Gas pistons, the only problem with those, they're better all round than a spring air rifle until the gas piston suddenly goes and the rifle doesn't work anymore with no warning. Alright, thanks James. As I said, I can't look at your channel at the moment because I'm doing a stream. I don't have any machete knives. I have a couple like those machete sword type things. But they're basically just machetes shaped like a sword. Not really any gardening other than, you know, like watering some of the garden, cutting some stuff down. And I haven't been to America, sadly. Oh, that's very impressive then, Richard. Yeah, well, I can't really do it in my garden, as I said. Well, you tell him that it's got asbestos and you show him a source of it, and if he doesn't believe you then it's his own problem. Which particularly Yugoslavian camo? The old sort of oak leaf one, because that works in pretty much any woodland area when it's not really faded. Or like the old Yugoslavian summer camo, it really depends on which pattern you're on about. I've got a big model King Tiger that I've done a video on before. And I used to do Warhammer, but that got too expensive and Games Workshop keeps raising the price. Unfortunately, because that's Games Workshop's way of doing it, is they have kind of alienated everybody from Warhammer now, because they just keep raising the price of everything that turns everybody but the hardest, like, neckbeard fanboys off from it, so nobody really plays Warhammer anymore, and then they say we need to raise the prices again. Yeah, as somebody else got it. Yeah, born in '93, so yeah, 24. Because it's not October yet. I quite like, well, I don't have any, but my favourite type of arrowhead would be the swallowtail. If you look that up, that's absolutely horrific. But otherwise, you know, like the triangular broadheads. Yeah, I think I've said before, though, on some of the things, it's like, why is your username that? And I've said, well, because I like weapons and other stuff. And 93 is like when most people have a number in their username, the year of your birth. Depends on the model of mask and how tightly you've done it up and everything else. It depends where you're buying it from, because I don't know what country you're in, whatever, but in the UK, air rifles, if they're delivered to your door, you have to pay for a thing where somebody takes your signature and checks your ID at the door. So most people just get them delivered to gun shops or buy them from a gun shop that has it in. No, I said I'm not a fan of MREs. Specifically because people keep asking me to review MREs, which I find completely pointless. I don't know, look on Wikipedia if you want to find out who discovered what, where, when. Yeah, cool. I think you're saying about that in Mike's stream, weren't you, Peach? That should be good. No, some have 5-point harnesses. Some of the older ones even have like straps you have to manually connect at the back once they're on. Some are like the GP5 with the rubber hoods. Really varies. I mean, 6-point strap head harnesses are kind of like the modern one everybody uses. I think there's some Ashen's videos, isn't there, where he eats some really old MREs. Yeah, saying that, Rich, I completely forgot to say about the bodkin, but obviously bodkins are pretty good at both armor piercing and inflicting damage. I suppose it's sort of rare. I think it just really depends, because lots of this stuff comes from Eastern Europe and isn't necessarily on sale in Western Europe yet. So at some point a warehouse will be opened, you know, and they'll find a load of them. M2 carbine, cringe lord, although that's also World War II, but it was used in the Korean War. As far as I'm aware, Raphael, yes, all Soviet filters did contain asbestos. Alright, Bob. I don't know, I've never really sort of thought of doing metal detecting before, well, especially not around here, but I suppose it'd be a lot more interesting if you did do it in somewhere like Germany or somewhere like that. Well, I'd be kind of more tempted to magnet fishing, where you get a really strong magnet, tie it to a bit of rope and fish in a canal and see if you can pull out any guns or anything. Can't think. I've seen the Millennium ones, if you mean like the MSA Millennium, which was the like sequel to the MCU2P. I've seen that one. That's the one you're on about. Yeah, the M17 had the chemical hood on it in the Gulf War. Yeah, sadly I don't have the tools or expertise to make my own gas mask properly other than drawing it on a piece of paper. Right, just a second, mate, because I need to check your link to make sure it's genuine before I show your comment. Because it's interesting now that you can actually kind of do that, because before, if you try to post any sort of link, YouTube would totally delete it, but it's an actual proper news source. I'll click play on this and then mute it and then see if it's what you say it is, and then I'll show you a comment. Yeah, hopefully you can get a return on that vengeful then, because it sounds like it's a fault with it. You're not going to get many camo NBC suits that still work, because they're normally the cloth printed ones with the charcoal inside. So yeah, you're going to probably need the rubber ones. Yeah, right, I'll approve your comment now, but it's already passed, hasn't it? But there you go, yeah. That's pretty big. Tell you what, I'll repost the link into the chat so that people can see it. Yeah, I think that's a pretty scummy thing to do, Georgia. Because, like, yeah, obviously you're pretending to have done service if you didn't. That's why whenever I wear camo stuff, it's always if I'm in the woods or whatever, and I never have any medals or anything like that on it. Favourite helmet from World War II? As much as I'm tempted to say the German M40 helmet, I actually really like that Swiss helmet, which is like the even bigger Stahlhelm, if you've seen the Swiss Stahlhelm. Either an Avon M50 I would like, or a Canadian C4. Links in the chat. I don't actually know the C607 without looking at it. Alright, I'll put you on timeout for that. If you do it again, you'll get a ban, because as I said, don't ask for shout-outs. Well, stuff like the platypus, isn't it? That's pretty interesting, a platypus duck, because it's kind of a weird hybrid animal. I mean, I like dogs, but dogs are obviously pretty common in a sense. What's interesting, when I had scorpions, they're pretty interesting because scorpions are obviously like 420 million years old or something as a species. They survived the dinosaurs being wiped out and everything else, and they've barely evolved in all that time. Favourite camo is probably Flecktarn, although I think MTP or multi-cam are actually better coloured camouflages, so when they finally get that multi-tarn stuff done in big numbers and it hits the surplus market, if it does, that would be good. As I said before, with a nuclear apocalypse it doesn't really matter, because as long as it blocks particles it will work fine. A random YouTuber, it already says in my description I'm medically unfit to serve, so unless they force conscripted me they wouldn't have me in service. Is a honey badger similar to a wolverine? Yeah, I really like the Flecktarn pattern, but I'm sort of against it. Like with regular hunting, if it's something like deer hunting and they're not rare, it's essentially just, you know, like a pest control thing and food. But obviously if it's rare animals, I'm totally opposed to it. And I think with hunting, you know, it should be done as humanely as possible. Because I'm like not a vegetarian, I don't really have a problem with hunting if you're actually eating the animal and it's not rare in that sense, because you know, because there's some people that say, well, people who hunt are so cruel, why don't they just buy their meat from the supermarket where it doesn't come from an animal? Because I've actually heard people say that. But yeah, if it's rare animals like trophy hunting, I find that kind of disgusting. But if it's, you know, animals that people eat because they're a nuisance or whatever and readily available, as long as they're killing them quickly and, you know, humanely, I don't have a problem with it. When you say digital camouflage, are you referring to actual digital camouflage or pixel camouflage? I've already done a video on that eye. It's weird because people either seem to say MTP is brilliant or it's absolute crap. I've never heard anybody say MTP is like mediocre. But yeah, I've had loads of people tell me MTP is total crap even on when I've done camo test videos, and it's worked quite well in the camo test. Is that the, like, really angular Swedish camo that looks like big sort of rectangular blocks? I like the look of it, but I don't know how well it would work. Yeah, I've obviously seen Hot Fuzz. No luck catching them killers then. It's just the one killer, actually. Yeah, I don't see the problem if they've already killed the animal with using bits of the animal's hide, because obviously it's otherwise it's more going to waste. Yeah, we've got some really, really old buildings in England, but it's, if you go to, other than things like Stonehenge, if you go to, like, Rome, some of the buildings in Rome are really, really old as well, where they've still somehow survived. I know they probably have to keep having restoration work done on them. That's getting a bit too political, a random YouTuber. If you read the description, it says I don't go into politics. Worst pet to have would be a wasp, because wasps are horrible. Lead and concrete are best for blocking radiation. Favourite gun was already asked, L1A1 SLR. Pro gun, obviously, because you've seen my stuff. Oh, the emu war where they got loads of machine guns but didn't manage to cull many emus at all. Dead leaves and pine needles. Well, East German Stricktarn might actually work really well for that, and that's one of those like really cool retro camos. But otherwise, I'd say Flecktarn, especially the more modern dark Flecktarn, rather than the older, cool-looking red and kind of green Flecktarn. Danish Flecktarn's cool, but I wish they replaced the black in it with, you know, like a darker green or something, because then it would work better as a camo, as I've gone over before, because Shadow in nature is actually really dark green or brown, for the most part, never black. I think it's a cool looking camo, but sadly in the UK I've never seen any that's not been really faded and not really expensive. I'd recommend Weapon Collector, because I watch him a lot. That's Mike. He sometimes comments on these streams if he's online, but he was like one of the main inspirations behind my channel. I'm trying to think who else I watch, like actually regularly and would recommend, rather than, you know, being channels that I occasionally watch. Ashen's, I quite like his stuff. I've watched his stuff for years. For like video game reviews and stuff, Worth a Buy's good, because he's a very cynical Geordie bloke, so he generally always calls every game crap. I'm just looking for some of my other sort of channels I'm subscribed to see if any jump out. Red Letter Media I like for film reviews, and Shitcase Cinema for film reviews. For like US gun channel kind of stuff, I like Paul Harrell's stuff a lot, because he's very factual and does quite interesting tests. Hornets are even worse than wasps as well. Yeah, if you can't get any American multicam, try and get British MTP, because it's very similar. I don't actually have a Yashenka, weirdly enough. Yeah, it's just older camos are more likely to be faded, and with some older camos they don't have very good disruptive patterns. That's the wrong with Stricktarn. As much as I like it as a camo, it doesn't really have any disruption ability whatsoever. You just look like a blob of the right colour. We'd have to keep the population down, I reckon, on New Earth. That would be a good start. I'm probably missing loads of comments now, even though I've set them to every 30 seconds, not every 15 seconds, whatever it was. What I like, Peach, is those, I've done videos on them before, but I have East German neck warmers, and you can buy the British Army ones that are the same thing. They're kind of like tubular scarves, like they're like stretchy, weird scarves. So you can stretch it like around your jaw and top of your head, and it comes down so it covers your ears, and you can also pull them over your nose and everything else. It depends if they manage to pass the new knife laws as they are. I can only speak English, Raphael, and German very badly, so I'm not even going to try. Yeah, Zero Punctuation's alright, but he mostly is just on The Escapist, isn't he? Well, I think they upload his videos to YouTube now. I don't know what a 275 Rigby round is without looking. Or is that the Mauser round? Because when I search it, it just comes out with Mausers, but yeah, like I said, I don't approve of people shooting elephants, so I don't really feel sorry for them. No, they paid for the... Marpat was paid for. It was sold to them by the same company that made CADFAT. The name sounds familiar, but I'll have to look it up. Oh, no, I don't have one of those neck scarf things. No, one of my mates got a load of them, but I don't see the point of really having those. I prefer scrim netting. America, as I've said before, because I'd love to go to America and shoot a load of guns and enjoy being in a country that's sort of crazy, but I really like it. Like, America has a lot of faults, but, you know, if America wasn't crazy, it wouldn't be the nation we love. Or, I suppose it depends. I suppose a lot of people don't love America, but, you know. Right, I'm definitely going for at least another 20 minutes to get to an hour, but I hopefully might go over that if people are still watching. I'm just going to have some water now, because my throat's starting to get a bit dry. And again, it's weird, isn't it, that all the comments all of a sudden have stopped. Oh wait, no they haven't, it just forced me to manually scroll down, okay. I've never said MTP was bad. Like I was saying, lots of people don't like it, but if you posted a link, no I didn't get it, YouTube probably auto hit it. It might do. I really don't know, Mitko. It's a good thing. It's a good idea. I really don't know. But that's kind of like what the charcoal NBC suits are like. They're basically kind of like boiler suits, just with a bit of charcoal and felt on them. I did a video on like weird ghost stuff, Sandy, so if you watch my like ghost videos, that will be my real experiences, where I kind of talk about them in detail. Well, I think they're talking crap if they say gas masks are useless, because I think we've covered lots and lots of good uses for them, even if it's just using them while spray painting or sanding in your own house. Yeah, you were saying about that, weren't you, on Mike's stream the other day? So yeah, that's coming via mosquitoes. So yeah, I suppose it's because it's getting hotter and hotter, isn't it? That the mosquitoes are coming up further and further. Yeah, alright, Vlad? No, I was never in the Boy Scouts. What's my favourite drink? Probably coffee, to be honest. Like, you know, milky, hot milky coffee. I think Cadpat is fine for Canada if you're in like the kind of evergreen forest stuff where it's always sort of green. But yeah, Marpat is a general in better colour pattern, but still, I wouldn't have black in Marpat if I designed it myself. I'd, you know, have another shade of brown or green as the dark colour. Yeah, like you say, Peach, if I could, that's what I'd like, remote rural thing where nobody to bother you and you could have guns. It's like I keep saying to people, I'd love to live in a lighthouse if that was like an eligible thing, but it's a shame those are the jobs that are totally automated now, where you can't just be on like a crew of 3 people in a remote lighthouse, because that'd be great for me. Best but cheap gas mask. Depends how cheap you mean. GP5 if you used an FP5 filter with it. Otherwise I'd say like FM12 for like 30 quid. Favourite World War II aircraft's the Ju-87 Stuka. I don't have a Karambit now. Favourite fictional vehicle? Ooh, that's a more tough one, isn't it? Cool, thanks mate. Yeah, but a lot of people from America and other countries have offered to take me shooting, but as I said, I've never actually been to any of the ones yet where I've had the invitations. But as I said to other people, I'd have to, if I was not there on holiday but actually living in America, for me it would have to be a northern state just because of the temperatures. So it'd have to be a northern state with good gun laws, ideally a coastal one, because, you know, I love the sea. I really don't know for fictional vehicle, mate. I like Star Destroyers, Star Wars, does that count? As was asked earlier in the stream, no, I've not been to America. Well, I already use CBD oil, Peach, but I have to spend quite a lot on that, because although it's legal, it's expensive. Well, I'd like to visit a lot of the states, to be honest. I don't really know. If I was there on holiday, I kind of like to do the thing where, you know, you're in one state for a bit, then another state, so you see quite a lot of America. No, I don't sell any gas masks, I buy them to collect them. Yeah, because if you can get a GP5 in good, like brand new condition, basically, with all the accessories for £10 sometimes, just do that and then stick an FP5 filter on it. you know, for like less than £20 you have a fully working mask. Favourite World War II tank? Probably the Sherman. Like, obviously, in coolness factors, things like the King Tiger are really cool, but in terms of practicality, the Sherman was the best tank of World War II. Yeah, the problem is for people in America, they can't get FP5s, like you're saying, but in Europe they're very cheap. Well, he's alright, because he sent me a load of free stuff, and he sends me nice letters when he sends me stuff, so, yeah, I have no problem with him. Well, I think a degree of survivalism and prepping is good, but I think it's, for some people it gets into kind of a weird obsession. I really like T72s actually, although I know they're obviously pretty outdated, but like the better model T72s I've always thought are cool. Which ones are FR57 filters? Let's have a look. Oh, so that's a 3M filter, is it? That's good if it does fit properly and you've done like a proper banana oil test to check it has, you know, fitted properly. But yeah, for the most part you're obviously going to need a GOST filter or normalised filter for it. I've heard some people have said, you know, like they've tried random NATO filters and for some reason they do actually, you know, fit. But yeah, for most of them they don't. I'm just quickly checking something, then I'll check the messages. If I miss your message, just post it again a bit later, because obviously I'm not quite looking at the thing at the moment. I was just trying to see if there's a correlation between a thing on YouTube. I'll analyse that in detail later. No, I mean, I get the shitposting troll comments a lot, the gas mask DK, but I wouldn't really call that bullying. If I can find the data on it, Alex, but I don't know if I can, because lots of the time the police are very vague, it just comes under firearm crime. Yeah, well. Might as well buy stuff like that while you can, Firewolf. FP5 filters I think you can normally get for £10 or under. It probably depends if they're in date or out of date. If they're out of date they'll be cheaper, if they're in date they'll be a bit more expensive. But generally with filters, the longer the date on them the more you'll have to pay. Yeah, sometimes you can get a good deal on filters when you get like multi-packs or a load like what I've done before where I've got filters, I think they run out this October. That are really well sealed, and I got those. It was 2 filters. They were ABEC 2 P3 filters, 2 of them for like less than £10. So for, you know, for that money I don't mind even when they expire, because I'll keep them handy, because I bet they'll last another few years after the expiry date. But you know, by running out the same year as I bought them, the seller had, you know, like knocked them like way under half price. I don't think putting milk in tea is evil. If you watch my video, you'll see why it has to be put in the end rather than first. I like prog rock, Sandy. But sadly prog rock's a dead genre. But I kind of like early industrial as well and a load of other stuff. Yeah, you'll need to do a banana test to test it properly, because with lots of filters they can seem to be an airtight seal, but once you use a really strong smelling stuff you can see that it comes around the outside of the screw thread. I think in theory the Queen has political power, but I don't actually know. Like, I think she has something where she can dissolve Parliament or something, doesn't she? But obviously it's never been, like, enacted, so... I might have to skip ahead a little bit if I've missed anything. No, I've only seen them in the size I've got, which I think is a size 3. But, you know, regardless, they're not safe to wear because they've got asbestos in. The M10M I quite like, to be honest, even if it's a stupid outdated design. The M10 as well should be good, but mine just like ripped horribly and my filters are expired by the time I put them in, which just made me angry. Yeah, it's quite funny. He shit himself then trying to shoot an animal. Oh well. Probably want to use 50 BMG, wouldn't you, or something like that, or an anti-tank rifle. Some of those big game animals, to be honest, if you were going to shoot them. As the Discord thing's in the video description. It gets mentioned every stream. She definitely has slightly more powers than that. I mean, yeah, it's a monarch. She doesn't have any power as such that we know of. But I swear she has some limited powers. Yeah, I think you're right, Salush. I think it is like that, that they hold certain powers that are never normally enacted, but in an emergency they could be. Like I said before, I'm looking to buy them if I see them at a good price, but generally whenever I've seen them, they've been like £100 or dollars plus. Alright, Mike. I might go a bit over an hour today, so I'll be on for at least another 10 minutes. Yeah, I've been to Scotland, loved it. Didn't go to Glasgow, but I went to Edinburgh and a load of the other places in the north, and I went to Stornoway for a few days, and that was the best bit for me, being on Stornoway. You know, Harrison Lewis for a bit. Because, you know, the weather was wet and miserable the entire time, which I like because I'm English. It was cold, which I like because I'm English. It was in the summer as well, so it never got properly dark because of how far north it is, which I liked. You know, it was a camping holiday, and I have a fond memory one morning of waking up in the tent with the tent bashing me in the side of the head because of how strong the wind was. You know, I'm surprised the tent didn't get ripped apart, but it was good fun. For some reason, mate, I read that in the Bob Page voice, amongst other things. Now it reminded me of Deus Ex, now I want to play Deus Ex again. Great. I'd say 9mm personally, especially because you get the plus P ones now, can't you? Or P plus, whatever they call them, which are like the higher velocity ones. Yeah, so whoever asked earlier, Weapon Collector's one of the channels I recommended, so if you want to subscribe to him, you can click on his channel and do it from here. But 9mm mostly just because of the fact that I don't think the difference in power between it and 45 is massive. And obviously 9mm normally lets you hold more rounds in a magazine and slightly less recoil. It's not a big thing. I think if with any firearm, if you're trained to use it properly and you can actually aim with it, it wouldn't really matter too much when the calibers are so similar. I don't know how good that Yugoslavian summer camo would be for a yellow environment, because it has got big yellow stripes in it, but you might also want to use like a desert camo, like any of the yellow and brown desert camos. Yeah, I never asked for this though, is the later one, isn't it? Human Revolution. I'm thinking of My Vision is Augmented, the original Deus Ex. But I liked Human Revolution as well, but I hated the one after that, whatever that was called. I can't even remember. Mankind Divided? Because they like strip down so many elements of the game, and then it just ends on a cliffhanger, and you're like, this is shit. Well, I've not looked too much into Tito. He was probably the best of the communists, in the sense he didn't, you know, genocide everybody. But obviously when Yugoslavia collapsed after Tito died, obviously all the horrible stuff that happened after that, that's kind of Tito's fault, so I don't really know. Yeah, I kind of get a bit bored sometimes. I mean, obviously I can go out and do stuff, but I generally try and stick around so I can answer comments. So, yeah, that's one of the issues with it. I think I said on the last stream, I'm trying to find a part-time job fairly soon, because I wouldn't mind bringing in a couple of £100 more a month. Just to pay off my new car, probably a bit faster. And, you know, it's just something else to do, but it's actually finding something that's an actual part-time job, not, you know, like working a couple of hours 5 days a week sort of thing. I'd rather do like 2 4-hour shifts, or 3 4-hour shifts, or 2 8-hour shifts, something like that. I did a video on that, Sebastian. I think you're doing this on purpose at this point, because you keep asking about videos I've done and then asking it as a question. I've already got the car. It's a Dacia Sandero, which is the cheapest car you can get in the UK. but I got the slightly better model, which was £9 because I got a pre-reg one rather than getting it like brand new. It was basically like 50 miles on the clock, no scratches on the outside. So by doing that, I saved you know, like £1 or two, and yeah, it's fine for what I want. It's got good fuel economy. Everything else, my old Golf wasn't, you know, great in a lot of ways and kept costing me loads per year. All that was going wrong with it. So, you know, it was cheaper to buy a new car. No, I don't have any antique truncheons or battens. I have like this kind of truncheon-y thing, or batten type thing, which is like a sawn off piece of wood that rather than throwing away, I thought I'll keep that as a novelty. The blank gun laws, I don't know, because they changed them a bit, didn't they? Because it used to be you could get proper blank firers that look like real guns. Now they have to like port sideways or upwards, don't they, or something with the blank, and they have to be bright colours. Yeah, that's the other problem, Peach, because I had that with my old job. You know, where they keep asking you to come in on other days, and if you're not doing much in the week, that's actually alright, because it's a bit of extra money, but it can get really annoying when you have to keep like constantly telling them no, and they don't really listen. Especially when you have other commitments, because you're actually, you know, doing it as part-time with another job, basically, not just a load of free time. But yeah, there's a couple of places I might apply for, so what I want to see is if, you know, because it will be September soon, kids go back to, like, you know, school and uni. So I'm hoping when that happens there'll be a lot more vacancies for part-time jobs in like just quite relaxed retail jobs where I don't have to do much and hopefully not serve many customers. I mean, ideally I'd not like another blue collar job, but I can't actually find anything near me that's kind of like what I did before, but only the non-BS parts of it. Do you mean Rainbow Six Siege? I haven't played it in ages. Don't know what the most idiotic thing I've witnessed is. I saw lots and lots of stupid things when I worked retail. One of my favourites was when I used to work in the Argos. We had the stock room in like the basement or the cellar, and we had you have like a conveyor belt that's, you know, like a 45-degree angle or whatever. So it's like the conveyor belt's on the slope going upwards. So you put an item on and it goes up. Sometimes our items roll down, so then you have to put these things, they were called sleighs, behind an item, you know, to wedge the item so it won't roll. When I was training one person to do their job, they put an item on the belt and it kept rolling and rolling, and they'd pick it up and they'd put it on, it would roll down again. They couldn't figure out why the item was rolling down the belt. It was kind of amazing, because I'd actually trained them to already use the sleigh, and it's like they didn't understand how gravity worked, so the item just kept rolling back down the belt and they couldn't work out how to fit it the right way up. I don't know, I just found that really funny. Yeah, a lot of the schools near me, though, are going to be like September or mid-September when they go back. No, I've not played a COD game since Black Ops, or maybe Modern Warfare 3. Oh, we did this last stream. Right, okay, I'll do it again. Right, so England, obviously, because I live in England. Scotland, Wales. A couple of like the minor islands off of England, which I think are technically different countries, but part of Britain. I haven't been to Ireland. At least I don't think I have. I've been to France, I've been to Spain, I've been to Portugal, I've been to like Madeira and you know, like Mallorca and Minorca and those. I've been to Germany, I've been to Austria, I've been to Finland, I've been to Norway, I've been to the Czech Republic, I've been to Poland, I've been to Slovakia, and I have also been to Hungary. I think that's all of them. Oh, and Greece. Yeah, and Greece. I've been to Greece as well. Fucking hell, Mike. I don't have a blank gun, though. If I'd got a blank gun, I'd already done videos on it. It's the Scots who wear kilts, not the Welsh. Yeah, I have enough experience with retail. I had a couple of good managers, but I also had lots that would just sit in the office doing nothing all day and give you more and more of their workload to do. Maybe my granddad, because he fought in the Second World War, and a couple of like other people in my family of his generation, but I don't think my parents are very interested in it. But as they know it's kind of like my job, they obviously think that's great. But you know, most of them don't really care. Like, my dad's the sort of person who will actually quite happily go to something like the Tank Museum. He really enjoyed going there. You know, as much as he might pretend he's not all that interested in it, it's one of those things that when he goes somewhere like that, he does actually enjoy himself. But I think you'd have to be quite a miserable person to, like, not be able to go to a museum or a big castle and enjoy it. Well, that's another stupid thing, Richard, then, drilling your own thumb. I haven't really got any interest in going to Puerto Rico. I mean, I have nothing against Puerto Rico, but it's not one of the places I've ever really thought about visiting. This is the thing where sometimes I have to just keep scrolling down in the chat, because sometimes the chat updates, but it sticks where it is. Well, if I won the lottery, what I would do is, depending on how much I won, but we're assuming militaria that I've won like loads and loads of millions, so I can do whatever I want. So basically, I would probably buy American citizenship, because I think it's $500,000, and it's just buy citizenship without needing to pass any sort of exams. Then I would buy a house in the middle of nowhere on the coast in a state which is gun friendly, live on the coast with my firearms. My favourite Russian camo is... somebody told me what it was called. It's the one that people call Partisan, but I don't think it's actually called camo. Partisan. If you search Partisan camo into Google, it's that one. The green and yellow and brown one. I was going to buy one of those at one point and I forgot to do it. Oh well. I'll do that at another point. But yeah, the one that's like brown, green and yellow that comes up if you search Partisan camo. For the French one, isn't the modern French camo... Let me look at the French one, because I think it's the modern French camo I like, but I don't know the name of it. Like, there's one that comes up when I search French camo, which is like just really big, like DPM style splodges. That's quite nice. But I thought there was another French camo I've seen before, but maybe I'm imagining that. But I do like that one, which I guess is the current French camo, especially when it's not faded. But yeah, the one that's like green and brown. There are AKs that are chambered in 5.56, but if it was your AK, you'd obviously know what caliber it was in, wouldn't you? But I know they did actually make AKs in 5.56, I guess, to try and export, just as you can obviously get the AK-74 in 5.45. I don't think the GSR would even be a good civilian mask, because you'd have to modify it to take standard RD40 NATO filters. I'll search Yugoslavian partisan hat to tell you if I have it or not. I have something similar to that, actually, that came... The main reason I bought the one I bought was because it had one of the particular, like, badges on it, and I wanted the badge, so I bought the helmet, so I took the badge off of that, and then put the badge on my green Serbian beret, because it looked like the Serbia Strong one. So it's not one with, like, a red star on it, it's one of the ones that... had like an actual kind of like particular brigade's kind of logo on it. I'll Google both of those to tell you which one I'm thinking of. I've never watched Friday Night Dinner. I don't watch much TV at all. Yeah, it's that second one you said, Camo Europe Central, however it's pronounced. But I know what you mean by lizard camos. I do like lizard camo ones, but there's quite a lot of variants on those. Well, I've obviously never shot it, but from what I've heard, that Chinese round's actually slightly underpowered, even though it sounds like on paper it'd be more powerful, but apparently it's because, like, it's not... I don't know, is it not, like, a very well pressurised round? I don't know, but I did ask that on a Forgotten Weapons video in the comments, and I got loads and loads of replies that it's actually not very good, but I don't know how true those comments are. Yeah, it depends, doesn't it? There's lots of agonising ways to die. I think probably getting like cartel executed via torch is probably a pretty nasty way to go. Karadzic will lead the Serbs, isn't it? You can find a translated version on there. But I like it for the little accordion loop. Because I think I've tried to say this to people before, like, because I speak from people from like Bosnia, Croatia and Serbia. I try not to get involved in any like the Yugoslavian conflict type stuff, because obviously it's a pretty nasty thing to get into arguments about with people. So yeah, it's like, I like a lot of like the folk song kind of things from the breakup of Yugoslavia, but it doesn't mean I agree with what they're singing in them. But they're quite catchy, because some of them are a bit prog rocky as well. Have you seen Benny, now, is it Hans the forklift driver or Klaus the forklift driver? Like, I don't know if it's fake or not, like that German training video, where the forklift driver keeps killing everyone. As it's you, Peach, you should be able to send me a thing on Twitter, and then you can direct message me on Twitter. I don't let many people do that because of how much spam I get on other platforms. That's the only reason I let Weapon Collector do it. Do you mean like .44? I like that one, and I like some of the other end of the war SS camos. That will be that Mark V will be probably like one of the Sieb Gorman type ones from after the war for industrial use. Well, with cyanide poisoning, doesn't it depend on how fatal your dose is? Like, if it's in a really, really high dose, it'd be fairly quick, wouldn't it? But if it's in the lower doses, that's where you have all the muscle contractions, like the really, really strong muscle contractions before you die. No, it's a light anti-gas respirator in my YouTube profile picture. It's either that or it's a, let me have a quick look. It's either that or it's a, yeah, it is light anti-gas respirator. I was going to say it's either that or a Canadian C3, but it's the light anti-gas respirator. It's actually the Mark 1, not the Mark 2, because I didn't get the Mark 2 till last year, and I made that profile picture years ago. I have been to a couple of festivals, but the one I quite liked, and this will probably sound really sad to most people, is I went to the Battle Proms at Blenheim one year, when they had it's all like you know, Tchaikovsky's 1812 and stuff, where they're actually setting off real cannons. So it's pretty deafening. That's pretty good. But the thing is, like I said, I like a lot of dead genres of music, basically. You don't really get festivals, sadly, that do a lot of dead genres of music. Yeah, I assume your UN body armour was like the Peacekeepers one, wasn't it, when they were sent there? Cool, but like I said, I can't really say much about blank guns, what you keep saying about them, because I don't know much about it. I didn't see, did you repeat something, Raphael? I didn't notice you repeat anything. Oh, there's a big crash outside just then, but I can't just see if there's anything that's made the noise. That was odd. I haven't seen anything fall over though. So I'll skip to the end of the comments where we are now. What do you mean, what's the thing about all the variants of the S10? There's the S10, the SF10, the N10, FM12 and CT12. I don't know what the rating is on the Spectra helmet. Because I know there's several like helmets that are meant to be 3A and some are better than others due to like the shape of it, you know, where some will deflect rounds better than others. Sorry, I'm just a bit distracted because I heard the, you know, like saying aloud something like crash outside and I can't see what it was. When you say psychedelic rock, do you mean like Jefferson Airplane or something like that? Because that's probably as close to psychedelic rock as I've actually listened to. Depends on the draw weight. If I had one with a crank and it was a really quick to load and like disload crank, then that. Otherwise, no. I prefer handspan. Yeah, we get that sometimes, but like what this was just now was definitely like something falling over or whatever, not an actual you know, like car. Probably not go to university just because you know, I'd have to spend a load of money to do it, and I don't like the idea of getting in debt for education, especially when really all you're getting is a piece of paper to say you've, you know, done something. Like, obviously nothing against people who do university or anything, but you know, just simply for the fact a lot of it is information you could look up on your own, really. And then obviously you're just getting a piece of paper with a qualification at the end of it. I'd only ever want to do it just for actually, you know, like if you needed it for working in a museum kind of job, but yeah, the thing is with the Russian armour, I think I've said before, is because I don't often see UK sellers with them, I have to hope customs wouldn't steal it, so it's just a complete crapshoot if I'm spending a lot of money if I'm going to get it, which is why I never do it. Yeah, Polish Pantera camo is pretty similar, isn't it, to some of that French camo, and I think that's fairly good, although some of it looks a bit too dark for me, like it's all like, you know, shades of brown, rather than being, well, I think with the size of the universe, there probably is other intelligent life out there, but maybe they're intelligent enough that they wouldn't ever want to visit Earth. You can build crossbows with wood. If you've not seen Weapon Collector's videos on it, look at some of the videos he's done of homemade crossbows, because that would probably interest you. I wouldn't necessarily mind buying one, it just, again, it depends on the price. Because like I said, I've got an M40 Stowhound without the liner in it. I don't think Glasses Store would do that at all. I think you'd actually have to order them from like a company that does them, and then a lot of those won't sell to civilians. Like I said, I'm lucky enough that I'm short-sighted enough that my glasses are only really needed if I'm looking at small text or driving. I don't need them for like daily use now, so I could use a gas mask without glasses and it doesn't bother me too much. Yeah, that's a shame, but so you shouldn't let somebody with scissors play around with your gas mask filter. Yeah, I like his Vampire Hunter ones he did, like the modern and the old-fashioned ones. Well, no, because the problem is for me that I don't have the space to put it in good, you know, sensible areas. Obviously, if you had body armour, I'd recommend that in your bedroom, but, you know, for the most part, all my masks and that are just stored where I've got space to store them. So there's no, you know, like, neat or ordered thing about it. It's just I can fit this many satchel bags and masks in on this particular shelf, so I'll do that kind of thing. I'm not very good at making things at all, so like I said, if you want to see homemade crossbow videos, watch Weapon Collectors, but I wouldn't attempt it myself. I'll have to look at both of those because I don't know off the top of my head what both of those are. When I search F2 clothing, it's coming up with motorcycle stuff. There's one thing that says Yugoslavian F2 style camo that comes up. The Fenlin thing, or Felin thing, some camo comes up for that. But that was the sort of thing I was on about earlier when you asked me about the French camo I liked, and that's kind of the one I like. Sadly not when I've looked. I think my local, some of my local museums, especially on like the firearms exhibits and things like that in it, which would interest me, they sometimes have full-time jobs for people that are like, you know, university qualified, or they have like part-time volunteering jobs, which I could do, but I already do volunteering with the Blue Cross at the animal shelter. So, you know, as much as that would be a cool place to volunteer in one of the museums, you know, it's not something I do, especially because That museum as well is one I'd have to wear my stab vest into, sadly, because of all the stuff that's happened near there. There was actually another sort of military museum that opened quite close to me, which is quite good, because there's like a museum that's free to go in, but they obviously like donations. And then they built a soldier museum thing at the back of that, and that's like paid entry. So I've been in there once, and that was quite interesting. They had like they had like a World War I trench built into the museum. That was quite good to see. I've seen a couple of museums that have done that. They've done like a fake trench thing. They had like bits with body armor and different equipment in different display cases. It was like one of those museums with loads and loads of stuff to read. I think different kind of body armors throughout history in there. I think there was like a bit on the Holocaust in there as well. There was quite a lot of stuff in there, but it's like one of those museums I've not been in years, so I might have to check it out again. I can't remember what the entry price was, but again, sadly, I don't think they've got any part-time jobs. If they had a job going, it would be, you know, like 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, sitting on the desk, which I'd find quite boring, even if it's a pretty laid-back job. You know, every 10 to 20 minutes when somebody comes in and pays for an entrance ticket, that's kind of would bore me to tears, I think, eventually. Especially if it's one of those jobs where you're not even allowed to read a book at the counter, because, you know, it wouldn't be so bad a job like that if you're allowed to read your book or look at your phone or whatever while waiting for people, and you just serve them straight away when they turn up. But if it's one of those jobs where they expect you to be sat upright at your chair when nobody's coming in, that would be a bit boring. Anyway, I've got very distracted by that question. I don't know without really seeing the filter. But if that's like 6/10/1954, that sounds like it's an old filter. The SHMS and GP5 both seal the same way because they're the rubber, like latex hoods. I'll look up that camo because it sounds familiar, but without actually looking it up. I can't think what camo it is. Oh, is that like Splinter Tarn? Yeah, I like that because it's like the original Raindrop camo, isn't it? I didn't see your question the first time you did it then, so you have to ask it again. Where we are, the animals are all neutered at the animal shelter, so you can't adopt an animal that's not been castrated. I don't really get what you mean by that, Raphael. Like I said, I have the Yugoslavian or Serbian jackets. I don't know what that is, mate, unless you're spelling racism really badly. Right, see you, Richard. Thanks for joining. Right, what you need to do is take a picture of the filter. You upload it to an image upload site, then post it as a regular comment on a regular YouTube video. Then I can approve your message and I can check it out. That's how I'm telling everybody to do it now, because it means I can just check it through YouTube and I'm not giving you a private sort of email or anything. Right, I'll go for a couple more minutes and then that'll be an hour and 20 minutes. So I didn't last to 2 hours today, but I did quite a bit over an hour, I guess. Alright, cool, glad you liked it. We don't get many women on these streams, so it's quite nice if you do like this sort of stuff. It's normally, I think if I look at my analytics, probably something like 98% men, I should imagine, on this sort of stuff. I can actually tell you that right now, if you're all that interested. It's demographics, isn't it? I switched to the new YouTube analytics, which I don't like. Demographics, there we go. I'll set it to the last 30 days. And, oh, it's surprisingly high. It's 7.3% female, which is still obviously pretty low. That's cool. Yeah, I've seen some pretty good looking Rep Pro Stowhounds. So you've got a pretty similar figure to me, Mike. But yeah, I think the sad thing is just like saying lots of women don't chat on these, which is a shame because it's nice to hear from you. Yeah, so yeah, leave a comment if you want. I don't think anybody's going to shout at you on my comments, or if they did, they'd probably get deleted if they're being rude. I think there's some other people that are definitely women on my videos, because I've had some that send me like love messages, but sadly you can never verify if they're real or if they're like underage or something. Yeah, I didn't do anything like that at college or school. Like I said, I was really bad at DT and stuff like that. One of my friends did like sort of engineering and like car mechanic kind of, so I assume it was that, because he did one that was like a mechanical engineering, I think the other which was just general mechanic kind of course, but now he doesn't do a job anything to do with cars, so you know, go figure, it's that sort of regular pattern. Alright, cool. Did you not get a message from me, or did you just join Patreon just now? Oh yeah, I've just seen that you've just sent me a thing, so once I've finished the stream I'll get you a link. Yeah, I don't know, for a good reproduction, £50 isn't too bad, but I don't like with some of the reproductions how expensive they are. Alright, I'll quickly search what you're saying about. No, it's alright, is that just the field shirt then for the French army at the moment? I've seen some that have come up in with camo and others that are like olive drab. But yeah, it looks pretty good. Yeah, Peach saying you have to be a bit careful, don't you, on here? Because, like saying you can get, like, love messages from people and then, yeah, you don't actually know. I was saying for the most part, I just thank them for sending me the message because it's nice. Right, anyway, I guess I will wrap that stream up now. It's been an hour and 22 minutes, which is pretty good for me, but my voice is going a little bit. I don't know if Mike's got a stream later on like, Twitch or something, but I'll probably watch that if he does. But, you know, I had a day where I went out and did some stuff. I guess I've done a stream of a decent length, and that's good. I mostly managed to keep up with comments, so that's also good. Alright, thank you, Benny. Everybody else have a nice day or evening or whatever as well, depending on what time zone you're in. And obviously regular videos at 5 o'clock every day. I'll sort the Patreon link out for the person who paid me that in a moment. I'll do it via my email. Alright, thanks. See ya.